All right, hello and welcome everyone to episode 51 of the GGG Podcast. I'm Paul and I'm joined by Phil. As always, we got a great show for you today. Some very big news coming out of Microsoft over these last couple days. So we're definitely going to get into the new Halo Studios and its use of Unreal Engine 5 for our main topic for this episode. But before we get started, if you haven't already liked and subscribe to our YouTube channel, we'd really appreciate it if you did. And if you're listening to the audio only version of the podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, give us a follow or a review over there. That's awesome if you would do that. Phil, how has your week been? Have you been playing games? Have you been getting up to other things? What's been going on? What's been the happenings?
It has been good. What have I played mostly? I think I've been kind of busy, so I turned on Spider-Man, swung around. I finished Astrobot. I finished the main campaign of Astrobot. I haven't gotten all 301 bots yet, but what an amazing game. And I have to say, I officially uninstalled Multiverses for the time being.
Oh my, you must have gotten so mad. What happened?
So they're in a situation right now where the lag is terrible, where you can't, you'll connect to a match. It won't give you any indication that you're connecting, and then you will get dropped mid-match, and then you'll just get, negative reputation points on your account.
Oh, hell no. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so, after that and all of the sort of, weird balancing issues they've been having lately, I was like, I think we're good. I think we're good to not play this again for a little while. So maybe I'll come back in a year or two if the game's still alive. But as of right now, no, thank you. It's a bad game.
Wow, that is interesting. You were playing that so strongly for 3 months, I want to say, something like that.
Oh yeah, a long time.
Yeah.
So it's a real bummer, but alas, it is in the past. Paul, what have you been playing this last week?
Some usual suspects, Space Marine, Helldivers, just grinding out levels in Space Marine in the operations mode. But I'm kind of slowing down a little bit on it. I kind of want more content, and I know there's going to be DLC that's coming out for Space Marine 2 this month, but they haven't given a specific date, so I'm guessing it's probably at the end of October. So I think I'm gonna just ease off of that a little bit and wait for some new content. But aside from that, I've been playing still a lot of Frostpunk. I've figured out the game. I've figured out how it works, and I'm having so much fun with it. Trying the next difficulties, which are, of course, more impossible to do. And then I have been trying to work up the energy, really the mental energy, of starting Starfield Shattered Space. And because I've heard mixed things about the reviews, but I don't know. I really don't trust people's opinion on Starfield because it's such a polarizing game. And so I really wanted to experience it myself, but I wanted to be in that place to really dig my teeth into it. But I booted it up recently, and I had an issue that I started having right as I stopped playing. Is probably the reason I stopped playing the last time, which was the game keeps telling me that it doesn't have any available space for saved games, which is complete horse crap, because it's I have all this space available on my drive, and then the first time it happened, I went through and I deleted 100 autosaves because I'm never going to go back that far. So I deleted all the saves, and I deleted 100 saves. That'll make room for more saves, no problem. And then it popped up again, and then it just keeps popping up. And every time I go to save the game, it tells me there's not enough space, or I'm running out of space to save the game. And then it does it anyway. It still saves. It just gives me this notification. And I could deal with that. I can deal with clicking away a notification. But the problem is that the game autosaves every time you travel. Or even go into a dungeon or anything like that. And so I get that notification because that's what Starfield is. That's how you travel, is do fast travel and going in between loading screens. And every time that happens, it just pops up again, And so I have fully uninstalled the game and I've started re-downloading it. But it is a very good, very big game. So we'll see if that fixes the problem. And if it doesn't, I'm going to be very mad because I'm very sick of this issue.
I mean, what a way to end your Starfield career, though, because I feel like that makes the most sense. It's just, oops, game, no work. They didn't build it good.
Yeah, so I'm still going to play it. I'm still excited to play it. I hope that there's more content in it than I've seen advertised, because it's just like, I play Starfield for a lot of reasons, and one of those reasons is like the ship customizer. And if they didn't really add anything to the ship customizer, I'm going to be pretty pissed. I'd like to have this update be just across the board. So we'll see if that's actually the case or not. But yeah,
Paul, it might be time for me to sneak back in because I have the premium edition upgrade of Starfield.
Yeah,
I bought the game ahead of time, and that was like the way to play early, was to get the premium edition. It was like $30 if you have Game Pass.
No problem.
So maybe it's time for me to step back in. Now that I got this multiverse-sized hole in my life. That said, a game that we're about to talk about this week, I am kind of excited to possibly dip back into.
Okay. Which game is that?
Diablo.
Oh,
might be time.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You're going to go back to Diablo?
Might be time to dip back into Diablo.
I've heard crazy things coming off of Diablo 4 Vessels of Hatred. I think Kind of Funny Games gave it a 9 out of 10. And I was like, what
nuts.
Are you talking about? And it's like, I really didn't know what Diablo would have to do to get me back on board. And I don't know. Why do you think this thing is doing so well? Why is it pulling you back in?
Well, part of it is I just feel like, okay, this new character looks cool. This new area looks pretty cool. I've heard they've redone a lot of the loot issues, and they've kind of done the thing they did with Diablo 3, where they re-evaluate and like kind of rebuild the game halfway after it's released. So maybe it's Diablo 4.5 and it's good now, but all the positive buzz I've heard about Vessels of Hatred makes me think like, okay, maybe it's time. Now the main hang up I'm having is, do I want to try another game that's coming out this week, which we can talk more about that when we get there. And I'll let the fans guess until we get to that game what that other game is that I want to try.
Okay.
But the big releases this week.
Yes. So yeah, I don't know if I'm there yet with Diablo. We'll see. I mean, it's getting great reviews, like I said, so that's definitely curious. Do you know off the top of your head how much the DLC is? Is it like $40 for just the DLC? If you already
$40 for just the DLC if you already have the game.
Yeah, I'll think about it, I guess. But I guess
it's definitely more approachable, right? Than like them. I could see Blizzard being like, no, it's $100 for the DLC. Eat it.
I mean, that would be the main topic, and we'd be ranting and raving about it. All right, well, let's move on to another one of our releases. Phil, which one did you have our audiences trying to guess, or are you going to keep them in suspense a little longer?
Until we get to it, and I'll tell you what, it's not Dragonball Sparking Zero.
All right,
launching with 81 on opencritic. And that comes out, I believe, the 11th, so this Friday.
Yep.
If you're into listen, I'm someone who still plays Dragon Ball FighterZ, because I think it is one of the best 2D fighting games in a generation.
Wow.
But the opencritic, the Sparking Zero Budokai style games, just not for me. They always feel a bit like I don't know what I'm doing or how I'm hitting someone, or it just feels like you're watching an animatic more than playing a game for me.
Sure.
So, but it
button
seems
mashing
cool
fest.
The concept. Yeah, it's a button mashing fest. It seems cool because the concept is it's like fighting game meets RPG. But I don't think it's gonna pull me in on this one. I don't think it's enough.
Yeah, I mean, I was a fan of Dragon Ball Z as a kid. I'm still like kind of passively a fan-ish, but I've bought too many Dragon Ball Z games to know that there are so many Dragon Ball Z games that are just like other Dragon Ball Z games. So
Yeah.
I don't want to crap on anyone who's enjoying Sparking Zero, and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like, I've probably played 5 or 6 Dragon Ball Z games, and they're like two flavor. They're always one of two flavors. They're 2D or they're 3D, and that's the difference.
That's true. I'll tell you, I used to play a card-based RPG, or like a card deck building battler. That was a really fun game on the Super Nintendo, but it was all in Japanese, and I had to emulate it when I was a kid. So I didn't really ever learn what was going on in the game, but it was really cool because you'd like play an attack, and the character on the screen would like do it to the other character, but they're like flying through the air. And I was like, oh, this is a good Dragon Ball Z game. And then after that, there have been several other ones.
Okay.
But for me, not the Budokai ones.
Sure. All right. Well, then let's get to the actual release you wanted to talk about, Phil, by all means.
Okay, Metaphor Refantazio. Now, I know it sounds like I just had a stroke. No, this is the new game from the developers of the Persona series. Basically, the concept is Persona 5 Fantasy.
Right on.
It's launching with 98% recommended on opencritic, which is a pretty mighty set of praise.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard great things about this game, so that is really interesting. I've heard people call this a masterpiece, so this is really coming out of left field for me. So people are saying it's game of the year.
Really?
I've heard. Yeah, so I got to check this out. I didn't know that this existed until earlier this morning. So
they're gonna have to contend with my great friend, and this is where we'll CGI in Astrobot on my palm, doing an uppercut.
Yep, a spin. A punch.
Yeah, it's spin moving.
Rocket chicken.
I think Metaphor Refantazio could be very good, and I'm not sure if it's just me who's changed and I don't play sort of like Japanese or JRPG style games. But it does look really pretty, and maybe I'm always hopeful like maybe it's going to be the ones to pull me back.
Yeah.
And I think I had the same feeling about Persona 5. And I was like, maybe it's going to be the one to pull me back. And it did for about 10 to 15 hours, and then I eventually just got sick of the grind and fell off.
Sure. Yeah, the grind is always tough in those games, and I don't know. I guess like Western RPGs, the grind is tough as well. But I feel like sometimes in Japanese RPGs or other Eastern RPGs, there's like this grind there that I feel like, and this would make sense if this was a multiplayer game, but this is not a multiplayer game. This is a single player game. So why are you making me grind to this degree when I'm not trying to compete against other people, I guess.
Exactly.
And so I don't quite have the patience for that. That being said, with the reviews that this game is getting, I'm going to have to check it out in some capacity. So, I just can't ignore reviews that are that good. So,
yeah, it's sort of like, I think we were talking about this earlier about Dragon Ball Z, how people are fans of that game, and that's probably the people who reviewed it higher. I wonder if that's the same with like people who are fans of traditional JRPGs. Maybe that's what's drawing them in to really enjoy this game. And so, like, if you're not that type of person, maybe you won't be a 98. That said, it's universally getting some pretty high reviews. So,
yeah. All right. Well, keep your ears to the internet, and we'll see how it continues to do. All right. Well, with those releases this week, kind of an odd bunch of releases this week, but I'm glad we're getting some more stuff as October continues to press on. But let's get into this week's news. The first topic, a little sad, but understandable. Little Big Planet 3 is officially getting delisted on the PlayStation Store, and so you're not going to be able to purchase it. I think if you bought a digital copy, you will still have access to it. It's just that you cannot purchase the game any longer. This is very sad. End of an era, I think. Sackboy was trying to be Sony's mascot in the PlayStation 3 era, I think, really. And I know that it did. I think Little Big Planet 3 did get released on PlayStation 4. Yeah, am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, there was I think there was Sackboy's Big Adventure came out on the PlayStation 5, like it was one of the launch titles on the PS5. So definitely, I think 3 might have only launched on PlayStation 4. I remember Little Big Planet 1 being like towards the middle of the end of the PS3's life cycle.
I think Little Big Planet 1 and 2 came out for the PS3. And then PS4 was Little Big Planet 3. Sackboy's Adventure was PS5. And I think their other game, Dreams, this is Media Molecule we're talking about, by the way. Their other game, Dreams, came out, I think, at the very tail end of the PlayStation 4. Is that ringing true? Are you doing the research in the background, producer Phil?
I'm doing the research. Jamie, pull that up.
Yeah, Jamie.
What I have found is that Little Big Planet 3 came out on PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4. I think it launched simultaneously.
Oh, okay.
1 and 2 came out on the PlayStation 3, and I'm not sure if 2 was like sort of a bridge between the two. And Dreams was actually at the PS4 announcement event, interestingly enough, and then launched way late into the PS4's life cycle, to some reviews.
It was a good game. It was just like it was a lot. It was like I don't know that we asked for this, but it was cool. And honestly, I can tell, and I think that I think they've been licensing that engine. So people have been using that engine to make games. So
yeah, I think it's a cool idea to make a game, and I think Little Big Planet is the same style as to make a game about making games. But for me, that's never something I want. I just want to. I want to play the games. I don't want to make them. You make them. I'll play them later. How about that? Little Big Planet 3 also so interesting that they really tried to like nail down their mascot platformer. Like they were trying to find that little slot, and Little Big Planet 3 just did not ever fully make it, because you can dress your characters up, you can make them look all cute. They were still kind of like ugly little dudes. Not to stamp on Little Big Planet 3's grave, but it was, I think it was just a little bit of a try hard series in terms of like they were really pushing it. Like Sony was really like, hey, you like Sackboy? And we're like, yeah, he's fine.
I liked Sackboy. I thought he was adorable. But
you don't have to say it nice just because we're at their funeral.
Yeah, it's true. Well, Sackboy's Big Adventure is still available on PS5, and it is surprisingly a good game. It's not up there with Astrobot, but I will say it does have a lot more content than Astrobot. And yeah, I don't know. It's pretty good. I would encourage people to check it out. I think a lot of people didn't play it because the PS5 was still being scalped at that time. So yeah, but sad news regardless. I wonder how long the servers will continue to be up. We will see. All right, but let's press on toward a game that I'm really looking forward to at the end of this month. Dragon Age Veilguard has officially gone gold, and what going gold really means, especially nowadays, is that it's not going to be delayed. They put the orders in. They're printing Blu-ray discs, and not that anyone will buy them physically, but whatever.
They're printing Blu-rays that people will use as a key to download the game.
Yes, exactly.
You know what? Very good news. I never really had a suspicion that Dragon Age was going to be delayed because it's had such a good showing in like its different press outings. It's been one of those things where it's also been so long since one of these games has come out, and they have been very hush-hush on it for a while. I remember the name was going to be Dreadwolf for a couple years.
Yeah.
And this year when they announced it, it seemed like, okay, they've got a game, they're going to release it. But I'm still nonetheless very happy. I'm so excited to play this game. It looks really, really good.
Freaking 10 years in the making, or 9 years, something like that.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about it. Happy it's not going to be delayed. I'm really pleased with how this is EA we're talking about here, so like this is not it's been a while.
Yeah. It's been a while.
BioWare. But I'm really pleased with how they handled all of this media, where it's like, we're going to announce it in 2024. We're going to, I think it was announced that they're working on it, but they didn't show anything for it. It's like, we're going to do our media push in 2024. We're going to release the game in 2024. That's how it's going to be. We're not going to do this, oh, it's 2022, it's delayed, or, so they had a very steady push. The game's coming out on time, and as long as it doesn't release and is a buggy mess, it should have a fantastic release. So I'm very happy with that so far. And I'm hoping that this game is the quality that all of the reviewers and all of the people in the major media outlets are saying that it is, where it's actually a Game of the Year nominee. So
honestly, if from what I've heard is that the combat is akin to God of War, the 2018, and Ragnarok sort of edition. And if it is anything like that, if that is the iterative next step after like God of War, which is an action RPG, to sort of a more customizable action RPG, if that is like the indelible mark it is left in the gaming community, I will be so happy that like that is the contribution. Like, oh, combat in RPGs is just this good now.
Right.
Fingers crossed. Again, BioWare, like we've seen Mass Effect not really land when it's re-released or rebooted. So
well, that was a
crossed.
strong choice. So I don't know. I honestly, like, everybody craps on Andromeda. I don't think it's that bad. I think what the worst part of Andromeda is the way Mass Effect 3 ended. They ended their story and their universe in a place of, we don't really have anywhere else to go. So I hope they fix that with the new Mass Effect game.
The story was also just fully over. They were like, hey, so there's one of 3 options of how this could have happened, and now the game's over.
Yeah.
And you pick green, blue, or red. And
yep.
And in doing so, they had to be like, all right, well, we got to make this new game in a whole different galaxy where they're not even affected by what's going on.
Right.
So, yeah, I think they're in a tough spot. But Dragon Age is, like, I think, perfect continuation fodder. Like, fantasy world where stuff happens, I'm in, baby.
Absolutely.
It ain't hard.
It ain't hard at all. It should also be mentioned, and we've talked about this a little bit on the podcast before, but Dragon Age Veilguard has extremely customizable difficulty settings that they're doing a lot of press for right now, I guess, to prepare people if people find it too hard or anything like that. So there are 5 different preset difficulty settings in the game, so that's very interesting. I have historically found Dragon Age games difficult. And I think like part of that is some classes are just better than other classes, which is unfortunate but true. So I think this is a good thing that they're giving players an option, and you can also do like a custom difficulty where you control a bunch of sliders, so that's really cool. I know that there will be the elitists out there who are like, you beat it on super easy or whatever, just wanting to experience the story. How dare you?
You didn't waste hours of your life grinding against a boss until you figured out the one strategy on how you can beat it. Fake gamer.
Exactly. So don't let people tell you how to play games. Just play games and enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. Well, enough about Dragon Age Veilguard. Let's press on to some very interesting news, although I am starting to experience a little bit of fatigue. Avatar: The Last Airbender is officially getting a AAA game released. coming from none other than Saber Interactive out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, the same company that brought you Space Marine 2. Really weird company to get this deal, but very interesting. I guess we're not getting Space Marine 3 anytime soon, but that clocks.
Maybe 10 years.
Yeah, maybe 10 years from now.
15. Paul,
yes,
this is probably the most exciting thing that I've heard in a while. I'm a big Avatar fan. Hold on, let me show you. I did the Kickstarter for their pen and paper RPG.
Wow.
And I have never played it. I most likely will never play it.
Wow.
But I just love Avatar: The Last Airbender. And I feel like that world, especially if you're playing as the Avatar, is just set up to be a video game because you're going around like collecting different powers and abilities. So what's interesting to me is Avatar: The Last Airbender, if it will be set in Aang's timeline, if you're playing through those adventures, or if they're picking a different avatar and like letting you run wild if it's an RPG or sort of more of an action combat game.
I think from what it sounds like,
still on.
It's an avatar that hasn't been, like in the official canon yet, or if they have been, they've been mentioned. But so I think as a video game, that's the way to go. It's like we remember the old days when an action movie would come out, and then a video game connected to that action movie would come out, and you'd be like, "This is a garbage game." Because it's trying to follow the story of the movie, and it doesn't work. God, I forgot about those days. I
kind of miss them. I kind of miss like the Wolverine's Origins adaptation because that game was actually good.
Well, but that was one of the few ones, though. I feel like
one of the few, yeah.
But I, as well, am a huge Avatar: The Last Airbender fan. I also love Legend of Korra as well. There are some seasons that are better than others, but overall, it's like I love that stuff. I really don't like all of the live action stuff. Even Netflix's new show that people were saying is better. It's fine, but it's just not for me. It's for a younger generation, and that time has passed, and that's whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this. I feel like I've heard all of these fan-made games that have been trying to get funded in the past, and I feel like this has been, kind of like, should we not? I don't know. And so I'm happy that it's happening. I don't know about Saber Interactive doing this. What do you think about Saber Interactive taking on Avatar: The Last Airbender?
I mean, after everything they've done with Space Marine, like the world building on point, their characterization on point, and their combat pretty on point. So whatever they want to give me, if I feel like they have a blank check in my book to take something that I really enjoy and like run with it. Can they make what I really want from an Avatar game? Like I want a pretty in-depth RPG where you're like developing your own avatar. That would be the most fun for me. But I don't know if that's in their wheelhouse per se. But if they can pull that off, I mean, what is it? Sean Murray and his little company went from Beautiful Joe to a space epic that did take 5 or 6 years to get off the ground. But
yeah, sure. Yeah, I look, I'm very curious. I'm excited to hear more. I guess I am happy that it is finally happening. I've just been so skeptical for so long. I'm kind of, I guess, a little jaded by it. But yeah, I think it's really cool. I think, like you said, Avatar lines up perfectly with a video game of like working on your skills, and now I'm gonna go learn water bending, and like all of that stuff. And so I can see it in my mind's eye. I don't know if it'll actually come out that way, but I guess we will find out. All right, so pressing on in the news, Phil, we got Red Dead Redemption 1 finally coming to PC. I'll be honest, I already thought it was out on PC, and then I remembered. I was like, oh, that's right. People have been asking for this for ages, and Rockstar just never did it. Are you going to play Red Dead Redemption 1 over again on PC, Phil? Any chance?
Well, I mean, here I would, and we will talk about this more in a minute. I would play like a sort of upscaled version of Red Dead Redemption 1 again.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that said, it's a pretty quick turnaround for Rockstar. 14 years after the initial game released, it's time now to dust off your old spurs and hang out with Jack Marston. No, it's not. Well, Jack Marston eventually.
Yes.
John Marston.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if this is hitting for me. There are people who are going to buy this game and play it. But what's weird is you have Red Dead Redemption 2 to play, which I don't would necessarily say is like blanket a better game, but is probably a better cowboy simulator, more accurately. But Red Dead Redemption 1 is has a special place in my heart. So if it were to drop on sale, I could see myself like having a weekend where I'm just in sweats the whole time playing Red Dead Redemption 1 again.
Sure. Yeah. I could see
What about you?
I think for me this is like a Game Pass game. If this was on some subscription that I was already subscribed to, I would download it and play it. But like I think all this is that Red Dead Redemption 2 is such a good game. I believe it's way better than Red Dead Redemption 1. But Red Dead Redemption 2 is such a popular game that people are like, people are still streaming Red Dead Redemption 2. And now there's a generation of kids really, who they've played Red Dead Redemption 2, but they haven't played Red Dead Redemption 1. And so if you got a PC setup, now you're going to be able to do that. And I think that anything that Rockstar can do to generate some media while they mull over whether they're going to delay Grand Theft Auto 6 again, is in their best interest. So it's like, yeah, it's really not going to cost that much money to stick this old game on a PC. Let's do it. We'll please some of the fan base, something like that. It should be said, Undead Nightmare and all of the, content post-launch will be coming with the game. But, to me, that's kind of salt in the wound, because it's like I would have really liked Undead Nightmare in Red Dead Redemption 2. Which is just, again, like I said, it's just a better game. Graphically, it's leaps and bounds better looking. And I don't really know how much graphically they're going to be able to improve how Red Dead Redemption 1 looks, other than, you can run it in 4K now. But the textures...
4K 60 will be fun, but...
Yeah.
I do appreciate the story of Red Dead Redemption 1 a lot, because it is more like a spaghetti western. It's got some serious moments, but it's not as serious and kind of like a death march as Red Dead Redemption 2 can be at times. So I think that it has its place, but I also feel like this game could run on a frickin' PSP at this point. There's no need to put it on a PC unless you're doing something special with it. And Rockstar is kind of the king of just releasing re-releases that are kind of great.
Yeah.
The Grand Theft Auto trilogy comes to mind. So, yeah, I don't know. I've got my... I guess ultimately, I want it to be cool. Don't think it's going to happen. Or don't think it's going to be cool. Don't think it's going to be anything that's going to make a mark, other than some people will play Red Dead Redemption 2 and then go play Red Dead Redemption 1. But if Rockstar was truly courageous, they would just remake Red Dead Revolver, the prequel game to all of the Red Dead franchise. And that is not a good game, but it is fun.
Indeed. I mean, yeah. Lukewarm at best. All right. So speaking of lukewarm, Phil, you added this story. What's going on with the Until Dawn remaster?
So the Until Dawn game was remastered recently. That was a PlayStation-only game that was sort of the a predecessor to what the Dark Stories or Dark... There's like these series of games that are basically Until Dawn, but like different little...
horror quick time event games,
story-based games.
It's got a cult following. Pretty strong cult following. Yeah.
I think people who like horror movies would probably enjoy these types of things, like people who are horror movie devotees, because it's just another way to get that little bit of a fix. That said, the remaster
The
has
remaster.
launched on the PS5, and it's 28.6% weaker than Concord.
On
So
Steam
that's
or on PS5?
I bel it's PS5 launch number. So I think maybe there's not that many people playing it on PS5. There's a lot of people who also just have access to the older version of the game, which was not graphically like, a slouch or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So it brings to mind for me the question, why are we remastering so many games? So many games that are still available, so many games that people have on a bevy of different systems.
Sure.
And the answer, of course, is money.
Yes.
But that sucks.
I think there's something that's happened very quietly. That we're still using the word remaster, but that's not what this is. This is, we want to make our game available on as many platforms as possible. That's what this is. And so it's not like we went back into the netcode of Until Dawn and we did the work and we brushed it off, and it's like, no, we made sure that it would run appropriately on a PlayStation 5. And while this game was like super popular when it launched, I feel like everybody who was going to play Until Dawn has played Until Dawn. And like, I have seen Until Dawn over the last couple of years go on some crazy sales where it's like, this is, it's been free on PlayStation Plus. It's been on sale for $4.99. And so it's like, if you haven't played it by now, you don't want to play it. And so do you really think that, re-releasing it on another platform is going to generate... this is just so... It's just clearly is like, well, Sony asked us to do this, or we wanted to make sure it was available on all platforms, and so that's what we did.
Well, that, and like, I think for this instance they released it on Steam, which is something I get, but like,
yeah,
I don't know. I think you can make an argument for the replayability of this particular game, these particular types of game, where there are segments that can alter or drastically alter how the game ends, and you get like a different sort of like ending story based on what you do in these QuickTime events. What is it? Detroit Become Human's another one like this,
right.
but I just don't see. And again, like I said, these games are not like graphically getting that much of a boost.
Yeah,
they
and
still looked pretty good when they came out.
They did. Yeah, this game had great graphics when it came out. So I'm looking at the Until Dawn price, and it's at a $60 game right now. That's has a huge deal. Like that is everything to do with what's going on. It's also PS5 Pro enhanced, so that makes it sound a little bit more like Sony asked them to do this. So, but that price is ridiculous. People are not going to pay that for a game that they've gotten for free on PlayStation Plus. So, I don't understand. I wonder if they're doing an upgrade thing. At least, obviously, on Steam, you can't do that. But if they're doing any kind of like $10 upgrade, let's see. Yes.
I know.
This article, it says like... Okay, no, it's worth pointing out that the Last of Us Part 2 upgrade only cost $10 or £10 to upgrade from the PS4 to the PS5 version. So with Until Dawn retailing as a full-priced AAA game, it's only natural that there's a huge difference in sales. So there you go. Wrong pricing, Sony. Figure out your pricing, just like with Concord. Come back, re-release it. Thank you.
Well, I think the thing that's interesting is if you compare it to The Last of Us 2, it was also weaker than that's released by 98.5%, and that is like the Last of Us Part 2 re-release on the PS5.
Yeah.
So pretty drastic and damning difference. To release this game for $60 in 2024 also feels like a crime. And I think ultimately when it comes to remasters and remakes, a remaster, sure, do it, go cheap. You can't charge that much. $20 is the ceiling. And I think the bar should be Final Fantasy VII remake.
That's a remake, though. So that's your bar?
That's a remake. Like, is this game going to be as interesting and important as this game? This remake, is this going to be like? Are we changing enough to do this?
Mm-hmm.
If not, don't do it. Maybe don't do it.
Sure. Well, speaking of remaking and remastering and knocking on the door of a franchise that's tired, for our main topic this week, we are going to talk about something that I really didn't think that we would be talking about, but that is the rebranding of 343 Industries to the formation of, or I guess the changing of the sign, and they are now Halo Studios. Halo Studios is also hiring new game leads and level designers over there. So that's quite interesting, as well as a little technical announcement that all future Halo games are going to be going to Unreal 5. We're running on that engine. And before we get into all the little nitty gritty things, let's talk about the little tech demo that they showed off. And first of all, it looks fantastic. And for me, I am so happy that they are moving to Unreal Engine 5, because I think it was pretty unanimous, at least when the first Halo Infinite gameplay came out, that everyone hated the graphics, and that the graphics were not, it's like, this is supposed to be the headlining Xbox Series X game, and it looks awful. And even when Halo Infinite came out, to me, it still looked dated. I mean, it doesn't look ugly, but it looks like this is an Xbox One game or a PS4 game instead of this next gen kind of a game. And the fact that they're finally running on Unreal Engine 5, it's like an acknowledgement of like, we don't know how to do engines anymore. We're just going to use an engine that has been established, that looks pretty, and that runs well on multiple different platforms. And so I'm really happy that they've made this move. I think that'll take a lot of work off of their end, where they could just focus on the gameplay and the story and the multiplayer. And then the last little thing about this announcement is there are multiple Halo games that are in production currently. I say multiple in we don't know exactly how many there are, but it could be anywhere from 2 to 4, which I hope it's just 2. So,
I will say, based on looking at some of this footage, it looks like Halo 1 is in the works, like a Halo 1 remake, at which, according to my last statement, that's fine. Remake the game in a completely new engine. Mwah, you've done it.
I mean, we've already got the Master Chief Collection, though. Do we need... Is it the Master Chief Collection? I hope it's just an Unreal 5 expansion pack or something like that. I don't need them to resell me the whole freaking game. So...
They've got Microsoft money. They could just update the Master Chief Collection and be like, here you go, it's an Unreal 5.
That would be... Or, do a paid upgrade. Like, come on.
Yeah, but I do think that this like kind of meets the bar for me of like, oh, this is worth talking about. If they wanted to remake any Halo games, if they wanted to remake Reach, sure, whatever, I'm in.
Reach would be great, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they're definitely in the market of doing some sort of remake if they've got multiple things going. But what really gets me excited is that they are kind of listening to us a little bit, and it seems like they are eating a bit of crow. They're eating a bit of like, yeah, listen, we really liked our own engine, and I know a lot of studios really like their own engine. Bethesda, pay attention. But sometimes there are just things that you can do that take some of the workload off, like using Unreal 5, which is a great engine for developing games, makes them look pretty amazing without an extra layer of optimization on top of that. But they can just focus on making Halo feel like Halo again, making the combat really good, really punchy, making the story something interesting. My one bit of trepidation about this is Halo is a little bit... I wonder how much juice there still is in the tank for Halo.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. My first thought when this happened was like, what happens to Halo Infinite? Because I think the original intention with Halo Infinite was that that was going to be the last. That was going to be the Halo platform, and they were just going to keep updating that. And as we have seen, they've stopped doing big updates for Halo Infinite, which is fine because they have now added a lot to Halo Infinite's multiplayer, and I get that. But I guess, do you think they're going to give that another whack, where they're going to try to this is, I don't know.
I don't know.
Do they have to continue the Halo story? Because, I mean, I guess that's not really true because the Halo story didn't really go anywhere in Halo Infinite. Which was so disappointing. But
I think they should just change the name of Halo Infinite to Halo Finite and then make new games. No, but I think it's, we're living in this era of people announcing these grand plans for games. Like, okay, we're going to make something that's going to go on forever. And inevitably, it falls down and it can't. You get your flash in the cans that do, like Fortnite and I guess kind of Warzone.
Yeah.
But
I feel like they stand alone, Yeah. I feel like that's what everyone wants. But yeah, not everybody can do that. So
yeah, it's not easy to do. Otherwise, everyone would be doing it. And I think it's good to have these ambitions to be like, all right, we're going to make a Halo game that's going to keep on giving. But ultimately, the fans were not there. I know I was watching TikTok lives or whatever was on the internet at the time of that launch. But there was a lot of people who immediately had hacked the game and were using aimbots and ridiculous things. So the game kind of became unfun to play pretty quickly. And Microsoft was not addressing that properly. So there was a bunch of things going against it. And, after the Halo show being kind of a disappointment, after a lot of things kind of, I feel like, have gone wrong with the brand, I don't know what's going to reinvigorate it. But I think this is a step in the right direction. I just think they have a lot more steps to go.
Yeah, I will grant them this is a step in the right direction. It's the first positive Halo thing decision I think Microsoft has made in a while. I do also think that this is a transition to getting Halo on multi-platform, and particularly PlayStation because it's already available on PC. So I think putting it on Unreal 5, it's like PlayStation 5 can run Unreal 5 pretty easily. And that way you don't have to mess around with a lot of hardwiring stuff that people who've only worked on Microsoft games know. So I think it's cool. I would say that the trepidation for me, if any, comes from this was a technical demo. This was not a game. This was a look at what Halo could look like in Unreal Engine 5, which technically we've had YouTubers do for the last couple of years. But this was just a Microsoft sanctioned technical demo. But it looks cool. I think that if I know Microsoft, and I think I do, I think they will continue to chase what is popular. But as usual, kind of be the last of the party, which is I think you could see a 4-person cooperative Halo game where you're not playing as Master Chief. You make a Spartan. It's like Helldivers or Warhammer or anything like that, where it's a cooperative game. You customize your own Spartan. You level it up. You grind. They're gonna put out a roadmap of updates and stuff like that. And so instead of doing Halo Infinite, where it's trying to encompass everything, it's Halo Spartan Strike or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I would love another crack at ODST because I think that's one of my favorite Halo games.
Yeah.
It really changed the dynamic. You're not invincible. You're sneaking around. That in a sort of team setting would be really fun. I mean, if they're chasing what's popular, they're going to probably do some sort of Phasmophobia style, like you're playing as a regular Marine trying to survive with 4 buddies game.
Sure.
But I think that, whatever they do, Halo might have the advantage of being in Microsoft's kind of blind spot right now. Like a lot of their market capital has been lost, and at least Microsoft's still pumping the money towards them. But maybe they're in a position where they don't need to be an everything game. They can just be really good at one thing game.
Yeah.
Because Halo, even in its Halo Infinite time, was like, this is the savior of Microsoft. It's going to come down from the mountain and release us from the chains of PlayStation oppression, and it didn't. And so I think, now they're relying on Call of Duty. They're relying on all these franchises they bought. So maybe Halo can kind of sneak in there and just like do something inventive and new and crazy, and show us a good time like the original Halo did.
Yeah. Hopefully. I mean, ODST would be good. What if they did like a Halo ODST 2? Or I think there's also a possibility Halo Wars 3. So, but I'm curious, like I brought up Spartan Strike. That's just my name for a cooperative Spartan Halo game. But I think that would be interesting. But if they were to do something more in line, like just a full-fledged Halo game, I don't know what that really looks like. Just because of how much Infinite just didn't do well and just wasn't really a good. It had this Spider-Man grappling hook that was the best part about it. It was a fun game mechanic, but that was it. That was it.
That was it. That was new. I remember Halo 2, like the trailer for it at an E3, and I remember cheering, watching it on my computer when he jumped up on like the side of a ghost and punched an elite out of it, and being like, "Whoa, my gosh!" And that was the time where Halo did like these new and interesting things. And granted, like the grapple hook was sort of that, but yeah, I don't know what Halo's going to do that's going to like really reignite it. But hopefully, a lot of the minds over there are already like figuring that out and already like, all right, what is the thing that Halo's going to do that's going to redefine first-person shooters like it did?
Right.
Hopefully they're in that space to be able to do that. And we are in kind of a lull of first-person shooters where they've all become either COD clones or something very wacky and different,
Yeah. This could be just me playing Space Marine recently, but I would like to see Halo's campaign return to a linear format with more set pieces. I think like doing a good job with that, even though Space Marine's campaign was short, I do think like the set pieces, the world design, you can really see the care that was put into them. And just with playing Halo Infinite and it being an open space, it's like you're doing an open world because like that's what everybody else is doing. And like it was a little fun for a little bit, but ultimately it's like this is another camp. I feel like I'm playing Far Cry as Master Chief, but I can't actually stab anybody in the face. And
that is what it felt like, that game. Like there was, okay, you got to go into this base and get this guy. What is this? What game is this?
Yeah, it's just like I feel like this should be more of a war zone. And like I get like Master Chief, you're going to send him on the special mission and behind enemy lines sometimes, but it's also like I remember Halo 1 and like meeting the soldiers on the beach and everything. It's like I don't really feel like there's a galactic war going on anymore.
Yeah,
I just feel like it's Master Chief is inserting himself into situations that I don't really know the stakes of because I don't see the rest of the universe. And so he
keeps freezing and waking up places.
Yeah, it's just like
what do you?
I need a reestablishment of what the Halo universe is. I think the new generation that's playing now, they need to know what Halo is because they really don't know. They don't know. They just think it's Infinite, and that's one of the worst Halo games that came out. So. Yeah.
Fair enough. I think Halo has a lot of it's left such a big footprint on video games. Like Helldivers would not exist without Halo. I feel like the Helldivers and even in the first game were based on like the ODST shock troopers.
Yeah.
Their pods had a similar design, their armor has a similar design. And I think I would love to see a third-person Halo game sort of in the style of Space Marine. Because there's a lot of similarities between those two characters. Like you're basically a super soldier in mega armor, and you're just really good at kicking ass.
Yeah.
that would be a cool game to see, you know?
I do want to mention there is an update. I don't know if it's a fan update or if it's an official update coming to Halo Infinite that lets you play in third person. And I was like, ooh, that's interesting. I don't know if the game is really built from the ground up to be played that way, but it's like, oh, this is how Destiny and Halo were always supposed to be, is they were supposed to be these third-person games. So that is interesting. I'm going to do some research and see if that's actually something I can do in Halo Infinite right now. Because that'd
be a fun stream.
It would be. Perhaps on the heels of another Halo announcement. Perhaps there would be some Halo announcement at the Game Awards. That would be kind of cool.
I mean, Master Chief Collection. Well, actually, it wouldn't be that. But if they officially if they could show us something and be like, PS5 logo comes up and like, we're uniting the game community against our evil nemesis, and then you see like Mario's mustache lower down, and they're here to finish the fight against the plumber. I'm in.
Wow.
But
wow. Well, we'll see what happens. Maybe that sounds like a secret level episode. So
yeah.
All right. Well, that is going to wrap it up for our main topic and for our news this week. Thank you, everybody who listened to our show this week, episode 51, paving the way into season 2 now, I guess, sort of, if that's how podcasts work. I'm still on the fence about the whole seasons thing. Any tidbits before we go, Phil? We got like a couple extra minutes right here. Any fun, quirky gamer things you saw throughout the week?
No, I know that LA Comic-Con just wrapped up, and there was like a lot of interesting stuff there, but no major announcements. I will say a game that I have been enjoying a lot recently, Rooftops and Alleys. It's a parkour simulator game, sort of like, think Tony Hawk Pro Skater, but you're playing as a robot that does parkour.
Okay, that sounds fun.
It's like a $15 game, and they've launched their multiplayer mode. And currently it's just like a couple levels, and you kind of have to just master how to do parkour and like do tricks in these different zones. There's not even that many points or anything. But such a good hang game. Like, you're just playing and doing tricks. Be like, dude, watch this. And like do a flip off something and fall. Yeah.
Is that on PC or everything, or?
It's currently on Steam. Because it's in early access.
Okay.
So.
Right on.
Yeah, that is a fun little tidbit if you want to scratch that Tony Hawk itch, but don't have the patience to play the new Tony Hawk games or to wait for the newest Tony Hawk reboot.
Yes.
Great game.
Whenever that might be.
How about you? Anything been scratching your brain lately?
No, I just want to try and get the Shattered Space thing solved, and then that Halo thing. I'm happy I remembered that at the end with the third person. I wanted to check that out. So that's pretty much it. We will press on through October. We're about 3 weeks away from Dragon Age, which I know I'm so stoked to talk about. Probably going to be picking that up on PC, just because BioWare screams PC to me, always has. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about that game as it comes up and all of the other future holiday releases. So yeah, perhaps
we're getting into the real season. We're getting into the real
season. I got a sweatshirt on right now, even though it's still too hot for that. But it's cold in other places of the country, just not Los Angeles. So, all right. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we will see you next week.
Peace.